My name is Eyitayo, and I'm the author of The Power of Self-Belief. Today with me in the studio is Mr. Rashid Ogunlari, who's a successful writer, life coach, and just here today to share some of his thoughts on why he wrote the book, The Gift of Inner Success, and how you could actually benefit from it. So, Mr. Rashid, do you mind telling us a little bit more about the book and why, what inspired you to write the book?
Sure. God, it's a long story, but I'm going to try and keep the long story short. Basically, I work as a life coach and motivational speaker, so I've always met people of all backgrounds who are wanting to move ahead in their life and their careers, their relationships and the rest of it. But very often they don't necessarily believe in themselves, as you know from the book that you've written. And the thing that I found time and time again is the more that people can realise the magic that they already possess, the more it is that they're going to be happy and contented in their life. And very often when people talk about things like success and happiness, they forget the gifts, the magic that we already do possess. Yeah. So the gift of inner success is just helping people get back in tune with all of those things: trust, energy and flow. They're invisible, you can't touch them, but that blend life together, and that actually will make you feel well adjusted to yourself and connect us to each other. So that's what the book's all about.
Wow. Interesting, because obviously it's good to get an insight into why you wrote the book, because a lot of people wonder why the gift of inner success. I remember the first time I actually held the book, I was thinking, great book, but why? What inspired you to write? I mean, the title alone could,
because it's in. We live in a world where we're focused on everything externally. Yeah. Success, this, money, possessions, all the rest. All these things are transient. They come, they go.
Yeah.
We've come through a stage whereby even the world economy's gone down.
Absolutely.
Things may, one minute you've got it, next minute you haven't. So the gift of inner success is looking at the constant, the inner self, the gift of inner success, that magic that we actually have. And so often people feel they need to be something else better than they are, and they don't realise the magic they already have. And as soon as they embrace themselves, as soon as they embrace that magic, they tend to be far more content and far more able to handle whatever life it is that throws them.
Right, fantastic. Well, that brings us back to the second question I was going to ask you. So how do you think readers could actually benefit from reading your book?
I just think that people, if it calls to you, then read it. If it doesn't call to you, then don't feel as though you need to read it. But I think that it will just encourage people to just remember. I think that one of the things is very often one of the things that holds people back a lot of the time is that people have had their life story. You're going to be reading the book, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decades in. And very often what happens in life is whatever events have happened for people in their life, often they'll feel weighed down by those life events, maybe in their career, might be personally, might be in their background. A lot of the stuff that people actually wrestle with has got nothing to do with them. It might be family background, that's prior to their involvement in it. Very often lots of things that people wrestle with are things that don't have anything to do with them. And so I think that one of the things that people get from the book is an opportunity for them to take a fresh look at their life. We need to look at it afresh so that they can ask themselves actually who it is that I am, because very often even who people perceive themselves to be is not who it is they are. So it really is helpful for anyone who's really at a point whereby perhaps they're lost, perhaps they're looking to find themselves, perhaps they're wanting to become more grounded and more in tune with themselves, or perhaps people have just got too much content. Often people have got too much content, clutter, busyness. We have busy lives, we have busy minds. The book is really to encourage people just to be still, silent, and to get back in tune with themselves so that we can brush away all the nonsense that often holds that person back from feeling well adjusted with themselves and in their life.
Well, that's very powerful. Okay, I mean, at the moment, obviously, you've been a writer, been a life coach, this is what you do full time. Have you got any projects you're working on at the moment, or any book you're writing at the moment?
Yeah, there's always quite a few things. I mean, most of my time spent working with people one-to-one, working with people who run their businesses, and a lot of time spent giving motivational talks and workshops and so on. I think writing's always a precarious kind of thing. Sometimes something comes into mind, sometimes it materialises, sometimes it doesn't. There are a number of different kind of projects that are kind of on the go at the moment, but I'm not going to talk about them because some may materialise and some may not. And I think that it's really important just to trust that process. But writing's great, but for me it's about connecting with people and about encouraging people to be themselves. So whether it's I'm on TV, whether it is that I'm writing something, whether I'm working with someone one-to-one, it's all the same. The end objective is very clear, just to get that person back in tune with their self. And this is the core of when you're talking about things like in your book, self-belief. The core of self-belief is belief in their self, but very often people don't even know what the self is. The idea they have about themselves is some idea, some facade, something which is temporary. Today you're a bank manager, tomorrow you might be something else. So that's not who the self is, So often we get caught up with all these labels that are not the true self. So the book is really encouraging us to find, okay, what is this true self? When we're talking about self-belief and with all that, what is that self? so that one can be really genuinely rooted to that real core of themselves and feel really, and to develop that real sense of self, whether it is that somebody's a teenager, whether it is somebody who's just been made redundant, whether it is somebody who has been a busy mum and she hasn't had any time to appreciate herself. This is what the book's about. This is my invitation for people to find themselves and to cherish themselves and to embrace life as it is.
Wow. Okay. Obviously, I believe great minds are influenced by great minds, and obviously you must have quite a few books on your shelves which you're currently reading or you've been influenced by. Do you mind sharing that with us?
It's funny, you know what? When I was a kid, I used to read lots. I don't read so much now. I spend more kind of time writing and reading, but in terms of books, actually, funny enough, one of the books that influences me most isn't an autobiography, it was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Because The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, one of the things about The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, it talks a lot about magic, and it talks about this inner magic and about this deep magic that we have. There's a conversation in the book, if you've read the book or seen the film, that the witch and the lion have about the magic and about the rules of this particular magical land. And I think that life is a bit like that, and often we lose touch of that inner magic that actually makes life flow. Whatever it is, somebody might believe, somebody might be very spiritual, somebody might believe in God, somebody might believe in evolution, but what is that inner magic? What is that? Or they might just believe in that self. What is that inner magic? Once somebody finds that inner magic, whatever it is for them, it's those people who tend to be most content in life. They're able to flow through life, that inner magic. So books that invite people to find their inner self are always the things that draw themselves to me, whether it's somebody's autobiography or whether it is something like that, which is fiction. But my invitation for people, I think very often we spend so much time looking at somebody else, what somebody else has done. Ultimately, whatever it is that we read and so on, the invitation is, what about me? Because very often we're always looking to somebody else. But what about the individual? If you're watching this, what about you? What about you? What about your own magic? What about your own gifts? It's not what Rashid Ogunlari's got to say. What about you? What about your own magic? What about your own gifts?
Wow. I mean, the interesting thing about what you do as well, touching lives, helping people every single day, but there must have been a starting point where you said to yourself, do you know what, this is what I want to do in my life. When was that? What made you decide to become a life coach?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Kind of happened by chance. My first career was in media and PR. I worked for a long time. I used to train people to appear on TV and radio, and I loved that because you were helping people to shine, to see their magic again and to shine. So really, back then I was coaching without coaching, and that was like 1990, that was years and years and years ago. So that's a long time ago. But then after about 8 years later, I was made redundant. I pursued my real passion, singing and performing. And I met so many singers and performers, creative people who struggled with life balance, confidence, money, all the rest of it. And that struck me. Somebody handed me something about life coaching, hadn't heard anything about it, but I recognised it as a way to help people take charge of their own lives. And probably because I'd also had the experience of being made redundant, after I started to coach, I thought, hang on a minute, I don't want to just work with singers and performers, I want to help people of all backgrounds who are wanting to find themselves, who are wanting to move ahead in their life, their career and their relationships. So partly it happened by chance, but life has its own magic and everything's kind of come full circle. So I spent a lot of time in the media, I spent a lot of time performing, workshops and talks. It's performance, it's kind of connection, and when working with people one-to-one is always a pleasure. So it kind of happened organically, but if one trusts oneself and life, then this is how things can unfold. So it's been a great journey for me, and I'm very privileged to be able to work with people, because there's nothing more magical than to be able to be with somebody, whether it is I'm working with a group of teenagers, whether it is I'm working with somebody who's a high achiever but they haven't got that inner happiness. The magic of actually being there, just present with that person, so that they can see the magic they've got today. Not the magic they could have tomorrow, the magic they already have today. And very often we overlook it, whether we've got £1 million in the bank or whether we've got nothing, very often we overlook it. So my take as a coach is very, very clear. It's just appreciating what it is that you already have. Because that's what the word, that's what the potential means. The word potential means that it's within already. It has to be within. It's not something that you gain. It's there. It's like a seed. But very often there's just all this interference of the noise of I must be this, I must be that gets in the way. Once one realises that magic, then it can be realised. Do you know what I mean? Then it can grow. It becomes real. We enjoy it in our lives. So that's the journey.
That's very true, because I could definitely relate to that. A lot of people out there seeking success, and they define success to be X amount of money in your bank account or tax against your name. But you just explained it beautifully.
It may well change, and it may well change. It may well change. So who is oneself? What is that? And very often we don't look at that. And